I'm Edie.
I'm Judy. And together we're the Rainbow Grannies.
Yay!
Woo!
And this is our friend, Leisha. She's here doing more of an interview with us about being transgender.
So in our last interview we did, our last segment we did, you were talking a lot about your personal story of how you felt growing up and how you came to transition as an adult.
Yep.
And so some questions I have is, knowing what you know now, do you wish you had known this earlier? Do you wish that you had realized by the time you were a teenager and what you would have wanted to do different if you did know as a teenager?
Oh, absolutely. But I feel like if I had known what I know now earlier on, then I could have done stuff like puberty blockers.
Yeah.
And so that would have helped with just the process. Because there are certain things that just happen by going through male puberty that had I known, I could have maybe stopped or even slowed that process, and that would help with just passing, I guess is like the term that would probably be thrown around the most.
Yeah, and so when you talk about puberty blockers, or people are calling these hormone blockers, have you learned a lot about what that involved, or what can you? I guess what I'm thinking about is this: we're hearing a lot of stuff in the news about teenagers transitioning, and I'm thinking about us ordinary, everyday folks who aren't political but want to understand what is this all about, because we're hearing it all the time, but we don't even know what it means.
Absolutely. So puberty blockers are it's a treatment that you can undergo that will not necessarily stop, but it's usually prescribed to kids because you have to be of a certain age to start hormone replacement therapy, or HRT.
Okay.
So before you undergo that process, if kids believe themselves to be like questioning their gender, they can start puberty blockers or hormone blockers. And that will delay the process of puberty. And so if you go through male puberty, you do stuff like your voice drops, your shoulders get broader, you get taller, things that are all obviously things that you want to avoid if you want to pass as a woman. And so that does two things. It allows them to better integrate when and if they do decide to transition. And it gives people time, because kids aren't always, we all didn't make great choices as children, we all sometimes.
Yes.
You just don't make the best choices. So that gives kids, if they maybe are questioning their gender or whether or not they plan to transition in the future, it gives them time to think.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, because we have seen where a lot of kids have decided and then changed their minds. You know, those have come up lately, and as far as a lot of children go, I mean, today they want burgers and tomorrow they won't eat meat. You know, so to make those kind of decisions at such a young age,
it's hard.
Yeah, and I think, there's another thing. Then people will say, well, no, the parents should just say, this is who you are and this is what we're going with. Kids, they just hear all the stuff in the news that they decide this. And I'm thinking teenagers don't just decide they're one gender or another.
Absolutely not.
What's kind of going on, I think, is when you're saying questioning their gender, it's kind of like, for you, it's obvious that there was something that was different and you're trying to figure it out. And so now that we're getting more educated, I'm thinking, well, teenagers are hearing us too. So now they're trying to understand what is it that they're feeling, and we just don't know.
And so
we
when
don't
you
have
were young, if you
yet.
would have been hearing all this, you might have been more in tune to what was going on with you. You know,
if I would have found, like when I talked earlier about finding those communities of other people who were questioning their gender, if I would have found or had access to materials like that when I was younger, absolutely that would have helped with me starting the process sooner. Because like you had mentioned about your kids being making one choice now and then making there's actually data out there that shows that there is like a very small number of people who what we call obsessed, or they will start hormone blockers, and then they'll decide to not do HRT whenever they get older. That's a very small number of kids.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm
they
sure.
do.
I'm
They
sure
do
it is
exist.
a very small. Oh yeah, I'm sure it is very small because that's no easy commitment.
Absolutely
That's not a lighthearted kind of thing you jump right into. So,
Mm-hmm.
Which, but I feel like that small number of kids, though it is just like a small number, it is important to have that option.
right.
Okay.
Because if you
And
don't,
that's
then
why
you get
that's
people
why
who,
you do the blockers, so opposed to just going full blown all because then you have a chance to come back out of it if you decide that's not what you want.
Absolutely.
Right.
That buys time.
Okay.
It buys time. Yeah, so I guess a few things you mentioned. One thing you said that you can't even start hormone replacement therapy, which we're calling HRT. That hormone replacement therapy deals with actually transitioning from one gender to another. And you said that we can't even start that till you reach a certain age. What is that about?
So a lot of people, it's because before the age of 18, you're not able to medically consent to hormone therapy. There are treatments that you can undergo before 18. Like obviously, we give children vaccines or any sort of like operation that the kid would, and that's just through like parental consent. But I feel like, especially with things like HRT, it is important to be like fully educated on what you're going to be going through.
Yeah. Okay. So if you if a kid takes puberty blockers, is that harmful at all to their growth if they decide later that they don't want to transition?
Generally speaking, no. There is a small number of people who will get, I think it's like decreased bone marrow density. But lots of things can cause
that.
issues like that. And again, it's a very small number.
So medically, though, we have a lot of information about this. So I think it's having these opportunities because the medical profession had done their research on it. And so parents and the kids can make informed decisions when they're doing it.
Absolutely.
And then HRT, I was thinking, well, maybe you have to wait till you're through puberty to transition, but that doesn't make sense. You want to transition before puberty.
That's part of the problem is that there are some states who are like, oh, well, you need to be of a certain age before you can start like puberty blockers. At that point, puberty's already taken effect.
Yeah.
There's no point in it.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of puberty blockers.
I want to thank everybody that's hung in with us and watching, and make sure that they all subscribe, hit the bell, and keep hanging in there. Share these videos.
Protect trans kids.
Yes. Protect trans kids. Thank you.